Now, the most trusted name in radio, serving the Treasure Coast for over 30 years, Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airwaves. All right, and welcome to the Rhett Palmer Show. As you can see, I am not Rhett Palmer. I'm sitting in for Rhett Palmer again today, man. He's living his life up there, and I think he's in Bar Harbor, Maine, or Vermont. I can never keep up with that guy in the summer months. He's hopping around, but he'll be back here in the studio here in about a month or so you get more Rhett. But until then, my name is Doolin Dalton. I'm sitting here across from Larry Strauss, the writer of the Christmas musical Dancing on the Dingle, which is going up this November. So we got about 2 months. And this is an original musical that you created, yeah?
It is, Doolin. I never set out to create an original musical. I mean, you'd have to be crazy to do that.
Or bored, one of the two.
And, well, actually, in this particular case, it was COVID that really was the jumpstart for this, because I had done about 35 shows at the Theater Guild, and of course, I knew you through the Theater Guild.
Yes,
and
we did a show. We did a couple shows together, I think.
I think we did. And in let's see, it was September. I did my last regular show there, September of 2019. I also directed Guild on the Go for 7 years. We ended up being the closing act of the Vero Beach Centennial.
Is Guild on the Go still going? Is
I don't think so. I think it's, but at that time we were the closing act of the Vero Beach Centennial only because the Beatles got rained out. They were in the park, so we ended up in the Heritage Center, and then we actually Guild on the Go. We did a show in December, putting on the Ritz, and I announced my retirement after the 35 shows and all that.
Okay.
I thought I'd take a break, and then COVID hits. And at that point, my wife, Carol, is a clinical psychologist, so now she's at home in her office with the door shut, seeing people on some kind of a Zoom program, and she notices over the next couple of weeks that I'm climbing the walls. And she's
probably driving her crazy a bit, too.
Well, I'm trying not to, but, I like to be out. I like to be playing golf and all that kind of stuff. So I was climbing the walls, and she said, "Why don't you go back to your songwriting?" Well, this is 2019. I hadn't written any songs since Chicago. We moved down here in 1998. And all I was a novelty songwriter. I mean, I wasn't doing that for a profession, had no intention. I was pretty clever with lyrics.
Keep going.
And so at any rate, I had a file. I pulled it out. And I noticed that one of the songs was a song that I had started in Chicago, probably 1995, called "Nobody Knows Our Names, Santa's Elves."
Okay.
I thought I'd come up with this Christmas hit, make my great-grandchildren wealthy and all of that. But I fell into the same problem everybody else has over the centuries with Santa's elves. Everybody knows the names of the reindeer, Dasher, Dancer, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody knows the names of the elves, and so they come up with these little cutesy names, Elf on a Shelf, or various things.
So if you have like a Christmas movie or story like that, you always have kind of these original names for elves, but they don't have kind of set names.
Yeah, the best name was just Elf.
Buddy. Well, you got Buddy the Elf.
Right.
Ferrell,
That was the best, but I failed as well. But then a week later, Carol says, and this is totally independent of this, go back to your songwriting. She says, whatever this is, this COVID or whatever, when it's over, we should go back to Ireland. Good idea. So we had been there a couple of times.
Do you guys have roots in Ireland?
Have no roots in Ireland. My roots are in Luxembourg, and she's full-blooded Italian. So, but I had a big Irish map. So I said one day I just pulled it out. Okay, we'll go back to Ireland someday. And my eyes gazed down to southwest Ireland to County Kerry. And I started looking at the lyrical names of towns, Ballybunion, Killarney, Tralee, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. That was the inspiration. Santa's elves are named after towns in County Kerry. That's it. That's where they're from.
Okay.
So that song now. So I completed that song, with these names. That song is now in Scene 7, Act 2, because it just one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. And Doolin, it took me 3 years, 7 days a week, 4 in the morning to 7 o'clock. And by 2023,
right,
I had a musical. I had the dialogue, they call it the libretto. I had all the lyrics. for 18 original songs,
Right.
and I had simple melodies.
So let me ask you this. So you said you worked on it for 3 years. So starting around 2020, 2023, about how many hours a week would you say over the course of 3 years you were putting into writing this original musical?
I would say on the average, I mean, I didn't keep track, but I would say on the average, it was about 20 hours a week.
Yeah, it was a part-time job for about 3 years.
Yeah, but it wasn't a job. It became, what I found was that being up at 4 in the morning when it's very quiet, if you go to bed early enough, 10 o'clock or so,
you get up at 4.
It's amazing how creative you can be. And I would say to Carol, after I'd been through this maybe 6 months, I'd say, I can't believe I wrote this stuff. And it's because I took the time and I was motivated and I was enjoying myself to do it.
Yeah.
And now, I'm writing one song after another, and now stories are coming into my head. And so what I had was this the book, what they call the book, the dialogue, the lyrics. But I knew what I needed. I needed somebody who could take the musical score to the next level.
Right.
Now I had there's a guy in town named Dr. Jacob Craig. He's very well known. He's a musical genius, and that name had entered my mind. And I'm thinking he probably would want to get involved in this. But then I had to show what I've got. I said, okay, I haven't even shown this to my wife yet.
You show him the script or just the songs?
Her anything.
Okay. I mean, for Dr. Craig, did you show him the script?
Well, let me just hold off on that.
I'll let you jumping ahead of you. Go ahead.
First of all, I had to show. I decided to show the script that I had to my wife, Carol. She was president of the Theater Guild three times. She was used to having play reading committees come to her and the board, and she was tough. And I knew she would be brutally honest. She really liked what I had. Then I thought, okay, who else is tough? I know Stanford Erickson, former Washington journalist for 40 years, one of the world's foremost experts on U.S. presidents. Now, this will be scary. I'm going to let him take a look at this. Well, a week later, he says, Larry, I couldn't do this. Well, I couldn't write a book on presidents either, so it's a little bit different, but it was very flattering.
But somebody from that caliber says, what you've created here, I could not duplicate.
That's what he said. Yeah. And then I said, okay, now I've got to find an Irishman. Well, I knew an Irishman. I played golf with James Cunningham.
From Ireland, just want to make sure.
Born and raised in Dublin.
Okay.
Okay, James, take a look at this. He loved it. Okay, so now Jacob Craig. Well, to my benefit, Stanford Erickson was also a friend of Jacob Craig's, and a close friend. He says, Larry, you got to take this to Jacob. So he set up a round of golf at Point West. We played a round of golf. I even took a Nike driver, a beautiful Nike driver that I had that was too much club for me. I gave it to him. And I said, Jacob, take a look at this. And he loved it. And then I spent the next year on and off working with Jacob Craig. And
sorry, go ahead.
We did it over at the he's the musical director of the First Presbyterian Church. And we did it right in the choir room, right with, where he's at the grand piano, on and off for a year.
So you spent about 3 years just getting this thing out.
It was 3 years to that point, then another year at that point. And
this whole thing's a labor of love. Like you've really poured your heart and soul into dancing on the Dingle.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was, as I say, it was never work. It was like the ultimate hobby is what it was up to that point. Except now I'm thinking, maybe this could amount to something. But working with Jacob, I wrote a song called "From Wisconsin." I won't go into the details of that. Right. But I would sing the simple melody that was in my head, and Jacob would just start to play. Again, he's got a doctorate from Oxford. He's a great jazz pianist. So he's not only a composer, he's one of the best pianists in the state of Florida, not beyond. And the first time he played that, we're still using that same arrangement that he played for the very first time.
Let me ask you this: if do you of the 18 original songs you have in this, do you have a personal favorite? Which one stands out the most to you?
It varies.
Yeah. Okay. Depending on your mood, maybe.
I mean, originally it was Nobody Knows Our Names, Santa's Elves, because that's what triggered this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a song called "The Lutherans Are in Town."
Mm-hmm.
It's a satire.
It was a funny song.
And that was Jacob's favorite song for a while. And you and I don't Dee Rose.
Yeah,
I want to talk about. I want to talk about
we had
her
a
lately.
chuckle out of that
because Dee is Lutheran, and Dee is in the show. She's also president of the Theater Guild, and we laugh about it. But it's not poking fun at Lutherans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Catholic.
Well, it's kind of more poking fun of the culture at the time and how they viewed Lutherans.
Exactly, and it all stems. A lot of this stuff stems from my childhood, also growing up in Minnesota.
Right.
The relationship of Catholics and Lutheran, the whole Martin Luther thing, and it's all kind of silly when you think back on it.
Yeah, definitely. And on that note, you kind of gave an example there with the Catholic versus the Lutherans, from Ireland. But how would you say the Irish music tradition, folklore, kind of comes into play with this Christmas musical, Dancing on the Dingle? Aside, I mean, you gave one great example there.
Yeah, this is one of the advantages of having Jacob Craig, because Jacob Craig, not only does he have a doctorate from Oxford, he is expert on the Celtic culture. He's a competitive bagpipe player. I mean,
we hear some of those bagpipes in the show, don't we?
Well, you're gonna have a live bagpiper.
Oh,
unfortunately,
wonderful.
Jacob's going to be in Virginia that weekend, so we've got somebody he handpicks. But so he understood the culture. He understood how to put the Irish in the music. Now, the first act is all in Ireland, so there's more Irish music in the first act. But the second act begins with a travel from Ireland to Iceland to the North Pole, and then the setting is the North Pole. So it becomes less Irish at that point. It's more diversified, which is another thing I like. I love the Clancy brothers, but I didn't want just a stereotypical Irish musical.
Well, I mean, so on that note, let me ask you this without giving away any spoilers. What would you say the heart of the story is for Dancing on the Dingle?
The heart of the story, and I don't include this in the summary because I don't want anyone thinking this is a children's show or a fluff piece, because I bring a lot of history into it. But it's the backstory of Christopher Kringle and his wife, Inger Bjornstad Kringle, and there's a story there because she was a Norwegian polar explorer from Hammerfest. And it's the backstory of the Santas of the elves. And the elves, when we think of it now in pop culture, the toys were all made by the elves.
Right.
Well, this is historical. This is happening in 1911 to 1914. A lot of toys were made of wood. They were the best woodworkers in the world. They were the wood-making elves. They were making the rocking horses. Even the board games were made out of boards.
Right.
Yeah, they were making games like, Tiddlywinks and Tic-Tac-Toe. These were made of wood, and their only peer historically was violin maker Antonio Stradivari, and I weave that in as well. So I think the heart of the play is that backstory.
And I think, and that's another thing I noticed too, because I attended the read through the other day, and
by the way, you were in the cast, so obviously we want to get that.
Giving away, yes, I am in the cast. You came to me and asked me to do the show, and I said, I haven't been on stage in about 9 years, so I was happy to. You worked around my busy schedule, so I appreciate that. But you say the show takes place in 1911, 12.
Yeah, well, actually. Your character. Let's talk about your character.
Okay.
Doolin is playing Bryson McAllister, who is a Minnesota Scotsman. He's the young president of McAllister College in St. Paul, Minnesota. And the show opens with Bryson McAllister addressing the Tri-State Society for Truth. And the Tri-States are North Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. And so it opens. We have a Minnesota setting, right off the bat. And Winslow Welk is an American anthropologist. He's an anthropologist from North Dakota. And it's really his story. It's about his story and his remarkable discoveries as he travels to Ireland, Iceland, and the North Pole. But when you appear, the year is 1916.
Okay, so he's telling the story, and we go into a flashback from
and
there.
We're going to a flashback to 1911 to February 1st, the feast of St. Bridget in Dingle, Ireland.
Yeah. Okay. And you tied in a lot of historical events, and that's one of the things I really liked about it when we were reading the script together. Is it's very rich with a lot of things that were happening in the world at that time, not just in Ireland, but just around the world, and it all kind of like converges into this one story. And things that happen and that were happening in the world at that time kind of influence the story and what's happening around. And it kind of almost helps steer the plot a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in fact, the elves leave Ireland in 1912. Well, why would they leave? They love it there.
Yeah.
Question, why? And Christopher Kringle, who's the CEO of Kringle Toys to the North Pole, he loses his woodworkers, the Norwegian trolls. They stage a walkout. He knows about the woodworkers in Ireland. He comes to Ireland. He comes to Ireland, and he places an ad in the County Kerry Crier because he wants to hire them. And he shows up for the interview at Dingle Hall. There's nobody there. They have no interest. Why would they? They love Ireland.
Yeah.
Except Kringle convinces the godfather of the Kerry Elves, Uncle Killarney,
401k package. No.
that you got World War I on the horizon, that the Kaiser's making noises, that you got the possibility of the Kaiser's cavalry overrunning your pristine little Irish valley. And Ireland is also on the verge of revolution. Half of Ireland is in favor of home rule, and the Irish regiment is fighting for the British. You've got all these complications.
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely it plays into.
So that is the motive.
story.
Kringle convinces the godfather of the Elves, Killarney, get out of here before that happens. Come to the North Pole. You'll love it there in Kringle Village.
It's peaceful. Well, let's talk. Steer a little ways away, and we're going to talk about the cast now. And it's one of the things I noticed. Like, we kind of have an all-star cast here that you've kind of pieced together. So, who are some of the faces that we can expect to see in this? And what other shows? What might we have seen them in if you're, say, a season pass holder over at the Vero Beach Theater Guild?
Well, I'll start with you, and you can tell us what you were in at the Guild. I know you were in The King and I. You were the narrator in
Into the Woods. I mean, that's going back. That's going back a couple of years. I mean, we don't have to hit every single person in there, but I did The King and I back in 2016. That was the last thing that I've had the time to do since then. I did Into the Woods, Sweet Charity in 2014. But it's for me, theater's always been something that's been very close and dear to my heart. I grew up on stage. My first show, I think I was about 10 years old, and ever since there. And then, I enter high school, and then I met Dee, and she is also in the show. So this is also kind of a cool turning point for me, because now, 25 years out of high school now, I get to do a show with my teacher, which is really nice. And I know a lot of her old students have definitely had that pleasure, but I haven't had that honor to do so yet. So I'm looking forward to that.
The irony there, and we're talking about Dee Rose, who was I guess she was the head of the drama department at Vero Beach High School for many years, and she is now president of the Vero Beach Theater Guild. She's a fantastic actress. I go back about 25 years with Dee.
Yeah.
But in my case, she was playing Mame, and I was the male counterpart.
Which show was this?
Mame.
Mame. Okay, Mame is the show.
It was Mame, right? Okay. And she was Mame. She was Dolly in Hello, Dolly, and I had the Walter Matthau, Horace Vandergelder part in that. So I've had admiration for her as an actress, a teacher, all respects, and I love what she's doing at the Guild. And she actually plays two characters. She plays Katie O'Sullivan, a resident of Dingle in Act One, but she plays the key role of Inger Bjornstad Kringle in Act Two,
AKA Mrs. Claus.
AKA Mrs. Claus. Exactly. It's like Mark Twain is the alias for Samuel Clemens. Santa and Mrs. Claus aliases for Christopher and Inger Kringle.
So was there, let me ask you this. There's been a lot of us that, we sit down, we start writing something, but a lot of people start and never really get to see their vision realized on stage. Now, I know you did this last year No, I don't think. Did you do it on the Guild stage last year? Or
We did it at McAfee Hall on the campus of First Presbyterian.
Okay.
It was very successful. This we called the pilot, and we said, okay, let's do the pilot at McAfee Hall. I mean, Jacob's right there, and we will learn from any mistakes we make, and then we'll see what happens after that. And we didn't change much. Some of the issues were technical because now we've got a more intimate setting at the Guild, and probably a better technical setup. But aside from that, we're pretty much going with what we had, with some changes in the cast.
Yeah. So it's mostly the same cast from last year. You've switched a couple.
It is
of things.
right, and you would ask about the cast. Tara Giovanone played two characters in. Well, she moved to New York City this week.
Why'd she have to move?
Well, I know we cried over that, but Tara went to New York. But we have actually in her place. Two 12-year-olds, two dynamic 12-year-old girls. One is Mackenzie Shaystack, whose mother is also in the play, Beth Shaystack, who was a professional even at Riverside and New York.
Oh, wonderful.
And Elizabeth Coronado, who moved here from Orlando
I've
a
heard
year
this
ago.
name before, and this is a very talented young lady, from what I understand.
She is. In fact, Carol and I saw her. We saw both of them in the Guild's Beetlejuice in June.
Okay.
She played Miss Argentina, and Mackenzie had the female lead along with Beetlejuice. Jeffrey Barkwell. I was in my last show at the Guild with Jeffrey Barkwell, Bench on the Sun. Hardest show I ever did. Had, 500 lines, always changing the subject, but he is a great character actor. And in this particular case, he's playing the mayor of Dingle. He's also a leprechaun, by the way. And Robin Volsky, one of my favorite character actors, and you've known Robin.
I've had the chance to work with Robin
for
before
many
as well.
years, and Robin is playing Clancy Murphy, and this song "Lutherans Are in Town." He is fabulous.
It's a hilarious song.
But he also has the capability, and is doing so. He's playing a Russian sea captain in Act 2, and Carolyn and John Toohey. John Toohey is one of the greatest voices
Very talented,
in River County. He's also a terrific actor, even in non-musical. Lend Me a Tenor, one of the funniest shows I have ever seen, and he had one of the two male leads. And Phil Markley. Phil Markley, the greatest attitude of anybody I think I've ever worked with. He's in a lot of shows right now. In fact, coming up is Young Frankenstein, directed by Beth Shaystack,
Right.
who is in our show here, and Phil Markley, who is also in our show, and he plays Uncle Killarney. So I think I have covered. And by the way, Carolyn Toohey also has been one of the Andrews sisters, I think, for years in an Andrews sisters show that she does.
Right. So what's that like when you put your words on paper and you get to see it animated on stage? Your words, your songs, everything you wrote. I mean, you as a writer, as a creator, you get to see that. And I started to say earlier, not everybody that sets out to create something gets to see that realized. So and not only are you, watching it, but you're up there on stage. You're in the thick of it with all of the actors.
Right. And sometimes when you're on the stage at the same time, it's a little harder to be objective because you're also thinking about your own part. But it is one of the most flattering things that can happen because, again, a novelty songwriter doing this kind of thing for fun, and suddenly I've written a musical that I never thought I could write, but then you have to ask, is it any good? Can you get a good cast? Because and you mentioned we have an all-star cast. Well, why would they want to be in a new musical when they can be in famous stuff? That is probably one of the most flattering things. You've got something that's pretty good if really good people want to be in it. The other part of that dynamic is that really good people, they want to be on stage with other really good people.
Yeah.
And you know that.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of otherworldly almost.
Yeah.
Even though I don't have any delusions or illusions of grandeur, I'm not thinking Broadway or anything like that. I'm just having fun with this at this point.
Well, what I like about it particularly is, Dancing on the Dingle, completely original story. And, that's not to say anything, like you can also go see a Christmas Carol musical. That's, that's happening at the Theater Guild, and I think it's going to be running kind of concurrent with this show. And, I love Christmas Carol. It's one of my favorite shows, but if I walk in to see Christmas Carol, I know exactly what's going to happen. I know Ebenezer Scrooge is going to have his run-in with the three ghosts. He's going to be redeemed and whatever. Somebody coming in to see this, I mean, and we see this a lot now in Hollywood with everything's kind of being remade and redone. And what I like about this is people, I think, are starved for original stories, and it seems like original stories just don't really get a shot at the spotlight anymore. Everything's kind of rehashed. And once again, please go see Christmas Carol, because I'm hearing great things about it. But if also when you see Christmas Carol, go ahead and pick up a ticket for this, because it's something that you've never seen before. You've got all new characters, and it's a new twist on an old favorite. You have a little bit of Irish folklore kind of mixed into the classic Kris Kringle story, and that's what I think is great, because we've seen this, the origin of Santa Claus, done a lot of times over, but you haven't seen it done like this. So I'm really excited about it, and I'll ask you this: if somebody wants to come in, see the show, where do they go? How do they get tickets?
Okay. They could, well, first of all, you can go online. And most people don't know. We're a little early right now for a show that's at the end of November, because based on our experience last year, we sold out both performances at McAfee, but most of the tickets sold in November. That's pretty predictable here. So why would anybody want to buy a ticket now? Why would they want to go on VeroBeachTheaterGuild.com or VBTG? I think Ludus.com.
Okay.
and do that now, because you can sit on the 50-yard line. You get your choice of seats right now, because most people don't even know you can buy a ticket now. So you go on Vero Beach Theater Guild, and you can get the greatest seats in the house. Yeah, all the seats are good, but you can get where you like to be. Some people like to be in the first row, some in the middle, some in the back, some on the sides. You can take your pick. Yeah, or you can call the box office, 562. 8,300. Yeah,
there you go. Get your tickets now for Dancing on the Dingle. That's going to be down there at the Vero Beach Theater Guild with writer Larry Strauss. You get to see this guy in it as well, and we're really excited about it. And just want to say thank you so much for coming in and chat with us about it.
Well, Doolin, it has been great to be here. I used to love to be on the Rhett Palmer show when I was publicity manager for the Guild, and for one selfish reason, we got a spike in ticket sales when we did it.
Well, there you go. So he's. Rhett's still here. He's cranking out a show, and I'm stepping in. But I really wanted to go ahead and give this show the spotlight, and hopefully we can do some more shows. We can bring you back in, and we'll talk about the Guild some more in the future.
That would be great, right. Doolin. Thank you very
Larry,
much.
Thanks for coming in today, brother.
I'm grateful to you, by the way. Thank you for being in this.
No, my pleasure. Thank you. All right, that's the Rhett Palmer Show for today. We'll see you guys next time.